Hello everyone, welcome back to Newcastle Fans TV. On Saturday afternoon we have a really important game against the Merseyside Reds. Is that right, Ross, or was it Liverpool?
I don't know what it is anymore. Yeah, let's go with Merseyside Reds. Let's do that this week.
Ross, welcome to Newcastle Fans TV on a week where I think it's pretty much been non-stop for your lot and 5 other clubs in England. I think we've got to talk about the European Super League first and how everything's transformed in the last 3 or 4 days. I think the first question is, why were Liverpool even involved in conversations? And did they expect the backlash in terms of the owners? Did they expect this sort of backlash towards it?
In terms of being involved, I think they were more than just involved. They were apparently one of the front runners. The people that are spearheading this, I think, with along with Manchester United and possibly Real Madrid in that conversation as well. I can't tell you why. Well, I can. Money, because that's what it revolves around. We had a little chat before. The UEFA Champions League reform was coming out, and I think they wanted to fight against that, which I partly understand because that's a shambles as well. UEFA are a shambles. We know that. FIFA are a shambles. Sepp Blatter's a shambles. Like everyone in football is a shambles at this point to me. And that's fair enough, but that's not the way to go about it. I partly thinks they can't have thought about it, but also the billionaires, they're not stupid. So they must have thought about it, but why did they think it was a good idea? It's all about money, making more money that they need to do. They're not happy with UEFA. I get that. As for the backlash, I think they probably did expect some sort of backlash, but I think it was just easy for them to go ahead with it and bury their head in the sand for a couple of days. It's happened in America, and there's the cultural difference there between the NFL. It's like that. And we spoke to some American fans, and I think something happened with, I think it was Portland Timbers, a soccer team out there, and something happened with them. It's just quite similar, and their fans kind of went, well, we can't do anything. Whereas there's fan power here, and like we've seen the scenes from like up and down the country that people just won't stand for it. It's 2 days later, I still can't fathom why they made that choice. It's just a stupid decision. I've gone from being embarrassed, ashamed, angry. I feel a bit stupid because, should we have seen this coming of having owners that are American or, billionaires? Of course, this is what they wanted. Of course, they wanted to chase more money. And it's quite sad, actually, that for two days that fucking Mike Ashley looked like a decent owner. That's how bad things have got. No one was talking about him for a couple of days. It's like, the trust is gone in all them. And that's what's the worrying thing now is what are the next steps? Because if someone wants to buy this club, they've got to be a billionaire owner. Well, they've got the same mindset. They're going to want to chase more money. Football just needs a complete reset in terms of its finances and the way that we do things, for me.
Yeah, of course, completely agree with that. And is it time up for FSG? But that apology from John W. Henry on Tuesday morning. Now, was it just a bit too late, Ross? Because it looks like there's mistake after mistake. Look, don't get me wrong, FSG have come in for Liverpool, and there's a Premier League on the table, what you've been chasing for 30 years. There's a Champions League on the table. You brought in Jurgen Klopp, who's transformed Liverpool really from a team that was just about near enough the Champions League to actually winning the Champions League, winning the Premier League, and being one of the top teams. Do you think that it's now time for a change? Do you think that FSG should go now?
Yeah, I do. But again, this is the problem. All those things that you've mentioned are absolutely great. They made mistakes with the ticket prices. They made mistakes where they tried to trademark "You Never Walk Alone," and they've made several other mistakes. The furlough stuff, which was like a year ago or less than a year ago, that got backlash. Now they've been at Liverpool for 10 years. I think they're coming towards 11 years. They should know what our fans are like. They should know our values and what we stand for. And I know that's really hard because you're a billionaire and you're in a business, but there has to be some sort of better balance. And I get the apology, but like I said to you before, he'd already made James Milner gone out and answer questions and look like an idiot. He'd already gone out and made Jurgen Klopp look like an idiot and hadn't told them. So he's disrespected the players, he's disrespected the manager, he's disrespected the fans. How do you come back from that? Like, I've seen a lot of comparisons to it, like a relationship if you get cheated on. Like, they might be the best partner you've ever had in your life, but in the back of your mind, you're thinking, I'm thinking, if FSG are sound and they've made the apology, is it going to be another 6 months before we go, well, we want to do the Super League thing again? 10 months, we want to do it again, 12 months. I don't want to go through the past 2 days again, ever. it's just been non-stop stress for not just Liverpool fans up and down the country. I'm sure you guys as well, going like, what's going on? Because you've been left out. Why shouldn't you be in the conversation? Like, I love Newcastle. Newcastle are a great club. Why aren't they in the conversation for this? Why aren't Everton in the conversation? Why West Ham and all these people that are currently in the top four that deserve to be there have just been left? There's loads of people that are saying, honestly, like, I know Twitter's not the barometer, but like, I'll get a couple of signings and it'll be all right. But it won't be all right because I just don't trust them. But who do you get in? Who's going to pay £3 billion for a football club? There's not going to be a venture capitalist that just wants more money. It's just, I don't know where we go from here unless there's legislation, something that drastically changes, which I don't know whether I can see happening. I think they'll remain there, but I won't ever trust them again.
It's going to be very, very fascinating to see what happens in the next few months. Hopefully with fans coming back, there might be a couple of banners in the Kop, maybe just saying, just be careful.
Yeah, well, I think there's rumours of a protest on Saturday. But again, like, I understand that, and you can see the power of the Chelsea fan. In fact, it wasn't just Chelsea fans, actually. There was fans from loads of other clubs that went down to Stamford Bridge, and it was the same at Ellen Road on Monday night. But the owners aren't there. Do you know what I mean? Like, they don't care. Unless he turns up, and like, I think we interviewed Henry Winter yesterday. Actually, it was a brilliant show, and he said, like, he needs to get on a plane, he needs to come over and go and look Jordan Henderson in the eye and say sorry. Go and say sorry to Jurgen Klopp. Go and be in, like, amongst the fans and make yourself personable to us, because you've just pissed off everybody. And it's the same for all the other clubs as well. No, all the other owners. No, Stan Kroenke won't do that because he's probably the best person in the world. But Man City fans are upset with their owner. Like, who'd have thought we'd ever be having that conversation? And they are. It's just that we were brought up on football was working class, a working class game, and I get, we all want the best signings, we all want money. You're in a certain position, or you have been for the past 3 years. Whenever Mike Ashley decides to peddle that someone's coming to buy your club, and it just happens to coincide with season ticket sales.
Yeah.
Of like, we'd all love that. So we're all hypocrites. We're all complicit. We all like spend loads of money on shirts and stuff like that. But we can't help it because we love our club. It just so happens, and then it's just one step too far. And as for the rest of them as well, like, something needs to happen with UEFA and FIFA, and the Premier League are just as bad. The FA are just as bad. Sky and BT are just as bad. They're all just corrupt venture capitalists who just want more money, and everyone's trying to take the moral high ground. Boris Johnson came out. I was like, it's all right, I'll sort it. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, you're not going to sort it out for the people that fucking matter. It's out of self-interest for everybody, apart from football fans.
Can't believe we're talking about politics as well, Ross. Come on.
Oh no, sorry, I can't help it. Well, I was having a pop at people. Got to get Boris in there.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's the rich versus the super rich, and that's how we've got to get on with it. But there is a game at the weekend. It's Liverpool versus Newcastle on Saturday. You're in a top four race. Now, when I spoke to you last, Ross, I said you're going to win the league, so I've got a bit of egg on my face because I thought Liverpool kind of going for a little bit of a blip, but they'll be fine. I think they'll be between them and Man City. Hasn't really worked. I like that. You've basically given every other team in the bottom six a chance of staying up, and you haven't played us yet. Burnley, Brighton, Fulham, all came to Anfield and won. But you're still only 2 points off the top four. It's a very, very close race, even with Spurs winning last night. You can't really rule them out either. You could see yourselves fourth if you can beat Newcastle on Saturday, which I think on the grand scheme of things, everything that you've gone through this week in particular, if you can finish fourth, it's probably a good season overall.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll take a top four spot, and that's another reason why the news this week hurt so much, because again, we had the weekend, or we're supposed to have the weekend off, and it's quite rare in our job. And then we had Leeds on Monday night. If we beaten Leeds, we would have gone fourth. So, but by the time Monday night came around, like, are we in a top four race? What's going on? I still can't tell you now. I know you're saying we're in the top four race, but I don't know what's going on with the Premier League. Are they going to deduct us points? Are they going to ban us from the Champions League? Or I just can't wrap my head around what's going on. But if we say for this that we are in it and everything's normal, yeah, you're right. Top four is a success. A few teams have had injuries and a poor season, and I'm conflicted. I think we can use a lot of our injuries and lack of squad depth as a reason or an excuse or whatever you want to call it as to why the reason where we are. But I think we've also had poor performances in there. You've mentioned, the likes of Fulham, Brighton, Burnley, that we should be beating those teams, even with the likes of James Milner. But it's been hard with the fixture list, and you very well know this, of trying to play twice a week or 3 times in a week with a decimated squad. something has to give. 35-year-old James Milner, I love him to bits, but he shouldn't be starting 3 games a week for Liverpool in midfield with a 19-year-old Curtis Jones, who is also very good. But you shouldn't be relying on them for what was a title push at the time, or what is a top 4 race. So I think you're bang on. I think Chelsea West Ham's on Saturday night as well. So there's potential for teams around us to drop points. Leicester's remaining fixtures are horrific. So I'm hoping that they drop out as well. So if we've got top 4, success. But at this point and for the past 2 months, I've just wanted this season done, to be honest with you. Football's not the same. We've been a bit shit, and then this week just hasn't helped. So yeah, get to the finish line and we'll be happy.
Do you think that Anfield, everybody talks about Anfield as this magical place in terms of when the fans are there, it's just an incredibly difficult place to go at the best of times. Do you think that's what's missing when you've been playing like the Burnleys, the Brightons, the Fulhams, the Chelseas, etc., where you just need maybe something inside the ground? Do you think it's just the fans that you just need?
Part of it, yeah, but that's the same for everybody else. I'm obviously going to be a bit biased and say Anfield's brilliant, but you'd say the same at St James's Park because you're in there, you're in the mix. So who am I to tell them that Anfield's any different? I don't buy that. I don't think like that. Yes, there's those European nights, and people give you the edge. And maybe you're right. Maybe there is a bit of pressure incentive, but Brighton and Burnley didn't have that incentive. Maybe that is a benefit to them. They don't have 40, 50,000 fans telling them or booing them or giving them stick or whatever, but they still turn up and perform. So you can use it, and you can use it to a certain extent. But then I see games like who did we play the other week? It might have been, it was Real Madrid. Even though we went out, and the intensity was there. I was like, well, you just proved to me you can play our style of football against one of the best teams in Europe without the fans there. So is it an excuse, or is it just you can't get yourself up Burnley, you can't get yourself up Brighton? I know it's very different teams, getting yourself up for, and there's a lot at stake. But between now and the end of the season, it has been for a few weeks, every game must win for Liverpool because we've got a top 4 race. So Real Madrid was do or die because we went out of the Champions League. It's the same for this. I couldn't tell you how we played on Monday against Leeds. To be honest, I watched about 3 minutes of it because I just lost interest, and I can't get me around this game. But where the mindset of the players must be right now, must be the same as us. I know they're professionals. I know they get paid lots of money, but there's a big dark cloud hanging over their heads currently of what they do. There's a massive elephant in the room of I love Jordan Henderson to absolute pieces. I know you don't because he's a Sunderland lad, but the fact that he's just rallied the troops yet again and fought against something. Imagine if the owners could come over. What's the conversation? Yeah, sorry about that. You're right. Is an extra 50 grand? It's just how do they trust the owners? Are they pissed off? What's Jurgen Klopp thinking? It's just the time. You're right. The time, like you said before, it's just an absolute mess. When we should be thinking about the top 4 race, we should be thinking about Newcastle on Saturday. But me as a fan, I'm not.
Yeah, it is very off-putting to say the least. Obviously, it's probably Newcastle's probably a good game to have for us because they've got a tremendous record against Newcastle, especially at Anfield. I don't think Newcastle have won this since the early 90s. I think 93, 94, something like that. So it's probably the perfect opposition. But Newcastle are on 35 points. We're safe. We've picked up 7 points in our last 3, including wins against West Ham and Burnley. Took a point off Spurs. Newcastle seem to be doing all right at the minute. I do feel like I know how Newcastle are going to play this game because I feel like I'll be watching the same sort of game against Burnley, against Brighton, against Fulham. Stick 10 behind the ball for straight year, loads of crosses, make your attackers just have little impact in the game, and we'll try and get something on the counter-attack with saint-maximin. But is it as straightforward as that?
Yeah, because it works. There's a blueprint there. Teams have shown as much as I hate it. Liverpool have struggled to break down those teams, and we struggled to break down those teams even with some of our best players. We've got to a point for the first time in a couple of years where you'd have Firmino's not quite on it, but it's okay because Salah and Mane will be on it, or pick one of the other two remaining. Whereas it's been a case of all 3 have just. And I know Salah's numbers are ridiculous, and I don't mean to disrespect him, but he has games where he has 1 shot on target when we're facing teams, or not even that sometimes. The low block sides just can't get a shot off, can't do anything, fails to produce. Then we're trying to implement this, 28 centre back partnership into a game, and the communication's not there. We've got a bit of stability with Kabak and Phillips these days, but you've got saint-maximin on the counter attack. You have got momentum. Momentum's huge in football. Now, although you might think you're safe, Newcastle and Steve Bruce and your players will look at those results and look how those teams are set up, use that blueprint and know that it works. Saint-Maximin's frightening on the counter-attack. Kabak's not the fastest. That Phillips isn't the fastest, and we still play a high line. So we can be doing that. I'm not sure. Is Callum Wilson back yet?
So he's been back in the squad. He played half an hour against Burnley, half an hour against West Ham. I think if he's ready, I think he could play, or he could start for Newcastle. But it's like I said, we've got our options back in terms of Callum Wilson and Saint-Maximin. There are, our VIPs, and they're the ones that if they're playing, Newcastle fans feel slightly more optimistic.
Yeah, and you should do. And look at Liverpool's defence and what we've done, and any strike in the Premier League will relish playing Liverpool, whether Virgil van Dijk's not in that back line, because everyone hates playing against him. And I would probably say the same for Joe Gomez and John Matip in there as well. And that's not disrespect Phillips and Kabak, but Callum Wilson will be looking at this fixture and going, yeah, fancy a bit of that. Get himself on the score sheet. To maximally exactly the same. Yeah, I've not been confident for a while, and I'm not confident in this one either. I think it helps slightly that these are more or less safe. But like I said, you've got momentum. We've just drawn against Leeds, and this week's just been a mess. So we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah. Do you think Newcastle's done enough now? Do you think Steve Bruce has done enough to keep Newcastle in the Premier League?
I'd like to think so. I'm not sure what your remaining fixtures are, but I think if he hasn't done enough up now, I think he's shown qualities between now and the end of the season that you can gather enough points to stay safe in my mind. I won't get into the ins and outs whether he's the right man for the job for next season, but yeah, it's I think Sheffield United, obviously they're done now, aren't they?
Yeah.
And there's just teams around you. I don't think they've got the squads for it. And particularly when you're saying you get the likes of, when you get your strikers back, I think Steve Bruce said this last week, because you've had them out for so long, well, of course you're going to suffer. But on the other end of that scale, then you're going to benefit when you've got them back. Even you've had some good results, like Burnley. Burnley's a hard game. West Ham, I turned that game on and you were 2-0 up, and then you went to 2-2. I was like, what the hell? Just do us a favour, will you? But then again, you showed the spirit and the character to kind of come back from that. That's huge, and the confidence your players will have taken from the past 3 games is massive. That's what you need going into the business end of the season. I think you'll be fine. I'm more optimistic for you than I am for you. What's happened?
I know, times have changed, man. Times have changed. Prediction time, though, Ross. 2 questions, obviously. First one, score on Saturday, and second, are Liverpool making the top 4?
Oh God. Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it a 2-1 on Saturday. I will be optimistic about that. And yeah, I still think we'll make top 4. I think Manchester United the weekend after's, on paper our hardest fixture. I think we've got a nice, relatively decent run compared to some of the others. Like I said, it's Chelsea, West Ham on Saturday. Like we need to make Newcastle count. Like Leeds should have counted. We had your fixture went for us. We need to start capitalising on that because we haven't done the past few weeks. And I said before, I think Leicester have got like Chelsea, Man City, Spurs left in their last 3 games. So if they drop out and other teams around us continue to drop points, then but I'm not sure whether that's more hope than anything else. But yeah, let's go for top 4.
A narrow win for the Merseyside Reds on Saturday, Ross. Well,
there you go. I'll take that.
It's going to be an entertaining watch as well. But a big thanks to you, Ross. And again, if you want to follow all the Redmen stuff, they're on YouTube, Twitter, everything. I think every social media account has a Redmen TV account on it. But YouTube's the big one for them with all the live match reactions and watch-alongs as well. So make sure you click their subscribe button as well. But that's it from us. We've got the game on Saturday. We've got all our videos as well. We've got the watch-along and the fan reaction show, scoring the players in the last word with League later on Saturday afternoon. Not a late one this week. So it should be fantastic to watch. Hopefully Newcastle could get something as well. Sorry about that, Ross.
Okay.
But for myself and Ross from the Redmen, we'll see you all very, very soon.